Hey boo, my last video about detaching from detachment drew the comment from a viewer about maybe giving some examples of how that would work and doing a longer video. So I thought about it and I realized it doesn't necessarily need a really long video, but it does need, if you want, an example of how that would apply. So basically, detaching from detachment means you are unhooking from any concern about whether something manifests or not, whether it's exactly what you thought you wanted or not, whether it was different in some way, that you are just as okay, if not even more okay, with receiving it. So, example, simple example. You have a craving for coffee and an everything bagel. And you know, everything bagels are the ones that have little seeds, they have little flakes of something on them, they've got everything, right? And you go to your favorite, your favorite little coffee shop, and you say to the person at the counter, I would like a coffee and I would like an everything bagel. And she says, oh, listen, I'm sorry, we just sold out the last bagel. We're not going to have any backup in the basket for at least another couple of hours. And that does not work for your schedule. You need that bagel now. But you don't freak out about it. You simply just slide on to the next thing and you go, that little pang of, yeah, I was just salivating over that taste. And boy, when it's toasted, it's just out of this world. But if that bagel's not there, you simply go, what else is there? And you look and you see a garlic bagel and you go, give me that garlic bagel. And boy, is that garlic bagel fantastic. You don't feel any the worse off for having had a garlic bagel. You don't even think about that you're having the wrong bagel or that you're having an unpleasant bagel. You simply slid on to the next bagel. You were completely fluid about the situation. You were unbothered. You were neutral. And this, in a sense, is the essence of what being so detached, that you are detached even from detachment itself. You are like the essence of detachment. It's really like that. Now, you could say, well, that's just a really small, simple example. But as we know, to God, universe, they're all the same, whether it's something small like that or whether it's a car. Whether you had gone to the dealership with the intention of getting a certain type of car, or even simply having your car serviced and walking out with a way better car, trading in what you had. And I know an example of that where someone had a Prius. They're a Prius lover. They had the Prius they had had for several years. And I think they were taking that Prius in for servicing, got into a conversation with the car salesman, and wound up buying a newer model Prius because it was too good to pass up. It manifested as an even better, beyond, something unexpected, but even bigger. And this really falls in line with Neville Goddard's teaching, dream bigger than the best you know. And she was so open to the idea of another vehicle that when she realized the advantage of it, she went for it, and she got it at a really great price. She got whatever features she wanted. She negotiated a great deal. So it can go anywhere from something as small as a bagel to a new car, to a new home. It could be anything like that. It's simply being unbothered by how the outcome is going to manifest, how it's going to appear. And you could even extend that to your SP. That yes, you're going to still go through a lot of emotions. There could be pain, there could be screaming and cursing and other forms of anguish if something breaks up with that relationship. But at the same time, you begin to see that you can unattach from it. And it's not different because it's a person, because it's not. It's the same cosmic law. And Neville called it, he didn't call it so much, he did talk about detachment. He used to talk about it in terms of detaching from an unlovely state. If you found that you had fallen into an unlovely state, that could be anxious, it could be angry, it could be stressed, whatever it is, and attaching to a lovely state, a pleasant state, a comfortable state, a state that had the desire, the identity that had the desire. But in another way, he also talked about the quality of renunciation. And this comes up also in some of the Hindu and Eastern traditions, that renunciation is not necessarily that you're suddenly putting something, a put down of something. It's not. It can equally mean that you can let go of something in favor of flowing with something more, greater, better. You're just not bothered by not having it. You're not bothered by not having it. You move on. And as part of that, they used to say, there was a saying in my ashram days about being happy with what you did not get. And that's part of this, because if you're detached and you may find that you got something else than what you thought you wanted, if you'd gotten what you thought you wanted, there would have been something relating to it that would have been very uncomfortable in the long term. It would not have worked out in your favor. So a lot of times the visitors to the ashram would show up for a talk that the leader, the head of the ashram was giving, the meditation teacher, and there was a big crowd, and they'd say, and the helpers, the people helping find seats for the visitors would say, there's no more room in the main meditation hall. You'll have to go to the overflow room. There's more seats there, and you can watch the talk on video, the meditation on video. And where some people would get all gnarly about it, the ones who could renounce the attachment to having to be there in the physical presence knew that they could have just as great an experience in the overflow room. So if someone said, you have to go to this other room, they'd say, thank you. And if they would trot to that room and get very comfy and have an incredible time, they'd go into deep meditation and had everything they would have had at least as good had they been in the room physically with the master teacher. So it's simply a way of saying to detach from even detachment. In other words, you get so in the state of being non-attached to what is arising, to what is manifesting, whether seems to be more in your favor or less in your favor, that you get even more, bigger than the best you know. That sums it up. So play with this. If this resonates with you, drop me in the comments. Let me know how it resonates. But do yourself a favor and explore this for yourself and come back and let me know how that went. What did you experience? Did you find that it was easy? Was it challenging? Was it a mix? And you'll start to get that experience, remembering that is the great writer and teacher Alan Watts said, that it's part of the divine play to be detached. It is really part of it, that as things arise for you to be detached from, it's the play of God within you, of your own awareness, changing and dancing with the moment. And that's really what it comes down to, dancing with the moment.